father contracted polio when he was a year old, and he spent an entire year in the hospital in an iron lung. His father was terribly disappointed to have a crippled child. Neither parent visited him that entire year. Years later, my father married his 22-year-old secretary, my mother. He was 15 years her senior. And when she got pregnant on her honeymoon, he was very upset with her. And when the child was a boy, he told her, "I can't relate to a boy. I'll have a relationship with him when he grows up." Well, not surprisingly, my brother had many problems. And by the time he was a young teenager, he was heading towards juvenile delinquency. And his therapist suggested that he and my father spend time one-on-one together doing ordinary things. So my mother sent them off to buy my brother a new winter jacket. She told him privately before they left not to let him buy what he wanted, which was a black leather jacket. She said, "That's what the hoods wear." Well, my brother came home in tears. My father had humiliated him in the store. He was looking at a black jacket, not a black leather jacket, and my father started talking about him becoming a hood. Well, my brother went to prison a couple times, got arrested a few times for the then terrible crime of selling marijuana. He invited my father to a Passover Seder that they had for the very few Jewish inmates. And it was a long drive, but my father went, and I think they both got something out of it. In between prison stints, my brother actually lived with my father for a while. Now, when my parents got divorced, my father moved into a very small apartment, one bedroom, efficiency kitchen, and the world's most uncomfortable pull-out couch. My sister and I stayed there one night. We knew that even though divorces weren't common, my father never occurred to him that he should make sure that he had a space for us in his home so that we felt like it was our home too. But my brother and he actually got along. Now, at one point, my father, who had been executive director of a fairly large social service agency, was asked to retire early for some job performance issues. And they had a retirement party for him. It was very awkward under the circumstances. But my brother showed up in a beautiful suit. And they had a reception line, and he shook hands with every person and said, "Hi, I'm Josh. I'm Al Cohen's son," with pride. Now, then, the next thing is my brother got married. And it was a hippie wedding. It was in some open field up north. My mother knew it was going to be a shit show. She chose not to attend. But my sister, my father, and I all went. Now, you know, the bride had flowers in her hair. The guest list included the entire membership of a motorcycle gang called the Penetrators. My sister was impressed with the subtlety of the name. Everyone's smoking weed, including my sister and I. They're passing around jugs of Kool-Aid laced with LSD. Who knows what other drugs were being taken? My father was walking around like this venue was the social hall of the synagogue, shaking hands with every person. "How do you do? I'm Al Cohen. I'm Josh's father." Well, my brother died of a drug overdose at 27, and my father died 6 years later. You know, my father was so self-involved. I was his favorite. I got the best of him, but his best wasn't very good. He didn't see his children as the individuals that we were. He didn't know what our emotional needs were, so he couldn't really meet them. But oddly enough, he and my brother developed a relationship of sorts. When my brother was an adult, it was much too little, much too late. But they actually showed up and stood up for each other during some important moments. They did have a bond, and I like to think that bond was based on love.
Give it up for Marjorie.